Hello, everyone. We're just going to wait a few minutes here as the participant count inches up as everybody gets in the room. Welcome. Welcome to our wonderful Wednesday today.
That said with a little bit of sarcasm today, Holly?
No, oh no,
Okay,
absolutely
good.
not. All right. So again, welcome. Thanks you all for joining us today on this webinar about the CommunitySuite Sneak Peek hosted by Foundant Technologies. I am Holly Spitz. I'm a product manager here for Foundant, joined by Sky Weber, also on our product team, and Kevin Lundy, who is a fabulous implementation specialist with our CommunitySuite product and super knowledgeable about campaigns. So we've asked for his help today. Before you begin, you'll notice we're using Zoom as a technology platform. This should not be a surprise to anybody. We're hiding the chat and raise our hand functionality, but we're hoping everyone can use Q&A. There's also closed captioning available. If anyone needs it, it's available at the bottom in your Zoom menu. And if also you can hold questions, Q&A questions to the topic at hand. That really helped us or was that last week? That was
Last
Monday.
week. Mm-hmm.
On our catching
Last
up
week.
with releases. Yes,
Yeah.
that helped a lot to keep up with the Q&A. So if you could hold it until we're talking about the topic at hand, and then at the end, if we have time, we can go into open Q&A. But this is a quick 30-minute conversation, so I'm not sure how that will work. With that, Sky,
Okay.
take it away.
So our agenda today is going to be profiles. So we'll look at that quick update that we released. Again, this is the webinar for everything that released into your sandbox on Monday. So that merges the duplicate screen. We're going to take a quick glance at that and then custom report some of the enhancements we made and released in custom reporting. So the emailing and the scheduling of the emails for those reports. And then we're also going to look at that all fields option in custom reports. I'm going to give a quick overview of the changes that we've made in campaigns because it's been in your sandboxes for about 6 weeks now. So we've taken the feedback from Idea Lab and again, implemented and pivoted on some of those things like the types. You'll see that those are kind of snuggled into our categories now. So again, taking that user feedback from Idea Lab and really trying to implement it to make your guys' lives better. So Kevin will also be giving a campaign from start to finish overview. So definitely more his wheelhouse than mine. So we'll get started here. Always want to give a quick shout out to our mission because we are here to maximize the impact of our philanthropic community. So again, everything that we're doing on the product side, Holly and I together, we're partnering with Kevin to try to make your guys' lives easier and better in CommunitySuite. So, and also if you aren't connected out on Compass, make sure you do that. That's a great way to kind of do some peer-to-peer chatting. I've seen lots of great activity out there lately. So good job on those of you who are participating out there. So, all right, let me get out of this slideshow here. I'm going to jump into my site here. We're going to look quickly at that profile. So I'm going to come into that core menu on the left-hand side here, that very first column, and I'm going to go into profiles. On the left-hand side, I'm going to select duplicates. You're going to see that they are kind of condensed down and they have the number system out there. So if I click in here to my duplicate names, we're going to take a quick look at that and you'll see that Tammy Wright out here, she probably is a profile that's been duplicated several times. We've added this information box here. So we have lots of information on the creation date, the household IDs. If it was linked up to anything, you'd be able to see that at a quick glance here. I could also just jump right into this profile and do my merges from here if I wanted to. I'm just going to select my back arrow and we'll jump into also our duplicate emails. So we've tried to take those duplicate emails and just present those if they have different names out there. So that way you can say, oh, you know what? This really, Leslie does not have Jen's email. I need to get that in and get that corrected. Or maybe it's, you know, somebody at the same foundation, different users having the same email. Maybe it's a director at a community foundation or a nonprofit. And so they all do share one email. So Let's just say that on this one, I want to go ahead and ignore that one. So I could come in and I could ignore this one. So I've looked at it. Yes, I want that to stay. They really do share that email. So once I mark it as ignored, it is going to show up gray on my screen here. I can mark those ignored as reviewed. That's going to take this list down on my duplicate. So it's going to remove it from that list. If I get another profile in that has that same email, that list is going to populate back up for me. So Jen's email is going to show back up for me if it happens to end up on Holly Spitz's profile. So those will populate back up. So it's not like once you ignore them, you won't see those. It will trigger another action item for the duplicates. So once they've been reviewed, I can come in here and I could unreview them if I needed to. So maybe I marked them as ignored and reviewed and I didn't mean to, and I could populate them back out here. So that's kind of our merge duplicate area. So any questions, Holly, before I move on?
Yes, we do have one. A user has told us, Sarah, that her duplicate option, menu option is grayed out on the sandbox, the permission. So was that a new permission that we added? Duplicates? I wonder why. No.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not to my knowledge, did we touch the permissions, but
okay,
maybe
so
they
maybe
just
between the sandbox and live site, they're different, but you will need that duplicate permission. Can you go back to that main menu and hover over it so people can realize if
here?
you hover over duplicates and see at the very bottom left of the screen where it says Sky Weber, FC Suite, that ERP/profile/duplicate will give you the key of what permission you need to access that item. So that is what's missing. So whoever's an admin in your
and then they would come into permissions and then you'll want to go into that advanced.
Okay, hold on. This is
here's the manage duplicates right here.
Okay, so maybe, so someone else is saying the same thing. So I would make sure that the duplicate and it must be
I think it's got to be their roles.
Yes.
Yep.
Even though it said duplicate and this says manage duplicate. So we'll confirm that too and make sure our release notes are correct and accurate with that. But you'll want that manage duplicates enabled as one of your permissions. And then once they've ignored and reviewed, they won't show up on the profile anymore, correct? We still have a lot of individual profiles showing up as similar profiles on the household.
Yeah, those merges will still show up under the similar, right? Am I right on that, Kevin? Did I say that wrong?
I believe they will. I need to test that.
Yeah, they'll still show up on the profiles as similar.
Okay.
That duplicates is really just to kind of, it's really just,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just said, but there's a lot of people. Oh, somebody said hi, Kevin, too. There's a lot of people saying they can't get into the duplicate. So check your permission settings and we'll make sure to address that in our release note too, to make sure this doesn't happen when it's released in live. So. Okay. That's all.
Okay.
Hold on. One more. Can you show us one more time if you mark someone as a duplicate and they really are not?
Okay. So how do you get them back? If I come in here, so if I come in here, we'll go back into Jen, or we can use this duplicate phone numbers. The phone numbers, you'll see that this phone number may be shared. So we're thinking, a household may have the same phone number. So again, we're trying to kind of eliminate some of those if they have the same last name, things like that. So that's what we try to clean up with this duplicates. But I can ignore this whole batch and say, yep. Or I could go in and manage individual ones, go in and do those. But once it's grayed out here on the screen, I can mark that ignored as reviewed. And then it's going to reduce that list for me. And then if I come here to list reviewed, because it's in the reviewed queue now, I can unreview those four. And again, if I had another profile come in with this same phone number, it's going to populate out there again for me to see it as a duplicate. Okay, I'm going to move on to custom reports. So from my main menu, I'm going to select reports again from this core menu. Some of the changes that we've made is I'm just going to select a report here. So I've created one. I'm just going to jump back into it. From here, you'll be able to see this email. So I have an email option from here. I'll be able to send this out as a CSV or an HTML. So this will be within my email. And then this would be an attachment in a CSV. So I could say I'm going to email this to myself. I did notice that the subject line is not populating on my email on this particular email. So I've got a ticket in for that. So and sell today. And then once I can send it out directly from there. So again, if you're sending it out to people, if they don't have permissions to a particular report, they're not going to be able to see that information. From within my report here, if I select edit, you're going to see that this field is also different. You're going to see the all and none options. So I can look at all of my donation fields here. Sorry, my internet seems like it's kind of lagging just a little bit. So you'll see the all or none. So if I wanted all of these donation fields, I could just select that all. Our columns are going to start populating here. I can then rearrange these just like I did in that top part of the custom report, but now it's going to be here in this column order over here. And then I can select save. Let's see my thing just spinning. Let me see here. Try to get back into my site here. Oh, all right. Okay, so again, let me go back into that same report here. So editing is going to give you those column options, and then the email is within this. If I go back a screen here out to my main one, you're going to see this new schedule here. So this is going to be out here. So this is where I can take any report and then email it to any of our users within our system. So I can, again, choose the HTML or the CSV. I can choose which frequently I want it to be. So maybe I want to send this every day or once a month or quarterly. I can choose that and the date that I want it to be sent on, and then which users I would like for that to be sent to. So those are your scheduled emails, and then your email within a report there. And then if I create a report, so let me just create a donation report here. So if I go into create, you're going to see that field looks a little bit different. We don't have all of the options on the left-hand side. So just trying to increase our performance here. So you're going to select edit now here. And then this is where you're going to start building your columns. Again, if I want to use all of these donation fields, I can use the all column, or I can start to select these with a multi-select here.
There is a question, Sky, is
okay.
In order to email, does the share button have to be chosen when saving the report?
It doesn't have to be shared. You can still send it, but if they don't have permissions, like for Social Securities or something like that, they're not going to be able to see that report.
Okay. And then once it's scheduled to go, how do you stop it?
Then you can delete it and it will cancel that.
Okay. Delete the report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Are we able to still search on those available fields? And yes, it's just slow to populate.
Yes.
Sky's web browser is just slow here, but yes, there it goes.
Yes.
There is the search button.
Yeah. So sorry, I keep kind of like timing out on this page.
Yeah. And the question is, are we deleting the report or we're deleting the schedule to email?
Right now, there's not a delete on this schedule option, but that may be something that we need to fix before it releases in live. So I'll take that as a note to have that as like an end date, maybe to put that in, or something like that.
Or a stop.
Yeah. Cancel.
Okay.
Cancel schedule. Yeah.
Great suggestion.
Yes, thank you.
And Kevin's typing the answer, but Boolean means it is a yes, no answer. So like a true, false, yes, no. So if you put advised and it's a Boolean field, that means you're going to get a yes, no answer. And variable varchar, variable category means that it returns a text field. I know, Kevin, are you coming off mute?
Yes.
Thank you.
That does return a text field.
Yes.
I just dropped that in the chat.
Yep.
Okay. Are you able to schedule sending reports to internal users, or could you send reports externally?
Externally, you would have to set them up as a user if you're wanting to set them up like with a board member or something right now, because it does tie into those permissions.
If you save as report, will the schedule email frequency carry over?
No, I think you'll have to reset that because you're saving it as a new report.
That's what I thought. Can you search and keep the other fields checked? Yes, you can.
Yes.
You can still search and it will remember your checks. And let's see, I'm trying to call through these. Can you do a report on a custom field? Kevin's answering it, but can you scroll down if it works and show them? Do you have custom fields here? Or show how to search custom fields either way.
I'm not sure if I have a custom build here. Let me see if I have. I don't know if I have any on donations here. Go out to my profiles because I know I have one on a profile. I'm just going to jump into my profile report and then I'm going to hit edit here. I'm going to type in because I know I have a flower question, but you can search custom fields here and it will bring up your list of custom.
So they should be at the very bottom of the list. And then someone said and a lot of people are liking this. This is more of a comment, but one of my pet peeves is that after you search and choose a field, you can't stay in the fields area where you were. So
yeah, so that's changing that. I will say, and then you can still rearrange these if you need to from here and do your sorts and sums and all of that from here. Custom reports, we're not done making changes there. This is just the first part. There will be more to change as far as saving and categories and things like that coming in the May, June releases. So just so you know, this is kind of the first step in getting custom reports kind of in a little bit different alignments.
And no, so these emails are strictly for users in the system, not yet. We do not have this fund holder option yet.
Right.
If you hit save in the fields area, is that saving the report or just saving your check marks?
It's
just
saving, saving those check marks, and then you have to resave your report out here. You'll still want to do that. This email out here, it can go externally. So if you wanted to jump into a report, you can send it to anyone.
Okay.
But again, you'll want to just probably attach it as a CSV so that they have the documentation.
Okay. And is there an or function on all report types? Maybe we were looking at a filter.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about all, but
some of the filters were also updating those in the next quarter. So again, custom reports we're just starting to kind of work on those and adding filters. So if you don't have an or filter, you may be able to have it in the future. Okay, I am going to switch gears because we only have about 10 more minutes for campaigns, and we've made some big changes there. So campaigns, you can see here on the left-hand side, I selected campaigns from my nonprofit column. So I kind of jumped in there quickly, so I apologize. You're going to see the types are removed. Again, taking your user feedback from you guys having this in the sandbox environment, the types and having to name the types was kind of an unnecessary step. So we removed that. If I come into my list, you're going to see that it is a custom report now, and it is filtered down to archived no. So this is just going to be your active campaigns. If I hit the back arrow, I'm going to come back into my list category. So this is where you're going to see the categories. I'm going to select my annual fundraiser here. You're going to see the type is now just dropped in. to the type of category that I have. I can edit this and set my type in bulk. So if I wanted these to all be marketing, I could set them. Everything as it comes in with the new release will be set as an event and not marketing or historical. They will be set as event, and then you can come in and bulk change those. We also brought the archived checkbox back for you guys. So those are kind of the main things. If I click into my campaign, again, you'll just see that it's still the tabs or the buckets. You'll see that option here. None of that's really changed. If I click over to profiles here, you're going to see that we brought back the RSVP and the attended for you guys, and then that delete is still an option. We also added the fourth option when adding profiles. There was a fourth option here, and we added it to the custom report areas as well. If I jump back into details, you'll also see that our event sync MailChimp. You will not be able to sync with your MailChimp with your sandbox environments, but you can come into your MailChimp tag, and we are going to show you any of the, I'll let Kevin probably do better at this, but it is going to show if it's subscribed or unsubscribed. So we kind of added some things in on the MailChimp. So it's taken us a little bit longer to get all of that kind of tidied up. And so we're still kind of tweaking a couple of things on MailChimp right now. But okay, I'm going to quit talking on the overview, and I'm going to stop sharing and let Kevin kind of walk us through a campaign.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks, Kai. So let's jump in here. So as Sky mentioned just now, when you first come into the campaigns area, some things are looking a little bit different, right? We don't have types anymore. We heard that feedback from the team here. We still see, though, list categories. So this is the new name for listing of campaign groups. So as Sky mentioned, clicking in here, a lot of people, I think when you first get in, one of the things you'll want to do with the new functionality rolling out is, you'll have your campaign group set up, do just what Sky was talking about, come in here. You may want to change some of these types from event to marketing, that sort of thing. So you have some options there as you're first getting in. But let's go ahead, jump in. Let's create a new campaign. Really quickly, we're going to create a marketing type of campaign, so a mailing list. Then we're going to circle back and we're going to create an event. So as we get started, we're going to come into the familiar option here of adding campaign. The first question the system gives us now is asking us, hey, which group do you want to add this to? So if I'm adding it to one, I'll say, this is an annual appeal that we want to make. Again, when you first start, event will be selected, but if this were a marketing piece that you're developing, you can enter that here. And I'm just going to punch in some start and end dates here so that you can track for your own purposes when you're going to be sending this. This is really going to come in handy a little bit more on the event side for start and end dates. But here we can say this is for our 2023 annual appeal. And we can have an internal description here now, so a nice option. If we want to connect this appeal with a specific fund, we have the ability to do that as well. Service area optional, of course, if you're using service areas, and goal amounts. So if our goal is 50,000, we can enter that here. We click create. Now we get landed on our main details tab of our campaign that we're creating, of our list, right? Here are our details down below. As we take a look at this left side menu, we're seeing a few new options here that we haven't seen before, right? So we've got pledges that have been added. We also down a little bit lower going to see copy. This is in by popular request. People love the ability to copy, especially when it comes to events, right? Where you have tickets built out. We'll touch on that here in a bit. And finally, link MailChimp. I'll be circling back there a little bit later, as Sky mentioned. But from this screen, right, we have our general details of the mailing list under notes. We could add some notes to ourselves on, hey, what were we thinking today when we created this mailing list? Next, under files, right? If we wanted to come and attach a file just like we've done in the past, we could come out to our desktop, grab the actual PDF that we're going to be sending folks as our annual appeal, upload it, and then we're going to have that file available here for us. And so we're still testing this out. So file will appear right here in this area, so we can expect that. Finally, profiles. This is the big thing, right? We want to be able to add people to our mailing list. So as mentioned on our last C-Suite, and I know we added, we still have this ability to individually add a profile, right? One by one, where we can do that. and come in here, pick one of our profiles, and there it is. What's going to be much more common though than individually adding profiles for most folks is going to be this update profiles option. And as Sky mentioned, this is pointing now to our new reporting structure, and it gives you the option to say, hey, I'd like to build and add some people based on either a profiles report or a donations report. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into profiles. We're going to filter this list down, and I say, I'd like to send this annual appeal out to anyone that is a donor, right, who's ever made a donation for this example. I'll click yes, add a filter. We filtered that list down to all of our 382 records. I'm going to come in. We're going to add those to a campaign here. Here we have the 4 options. 2 of these are going to be similar. The first 2 are going to be similar to that screen we've seen in the past where we make that decision of, oh, do we want to add the household members as guests right here, right, for something like an email campaign where we might have email addresses on those guest or individual profiles? Or do we want to just add this list unmodified as it is in the report? So those 2 options coming back for us. 2 exciting new options though here. In this edition right here, it's working from both the campaigns area and now the profiles area as well. We got some feedback there on that. So these 2 new options, right? The ability to add all non-household profiles, and there's a little bit more detail right here. I won't read this all to you for this item, but the next one I want to spend just a second with, add household, not individual profiles. And I will read this one aloud. So if a profile is an individual, right? If Kevin's on this list because he's a recent donor, but he's part of a household of Kevin and Stacy, this option would add the household profile, not just Kevin. So a lot of people have been asking for this ability. Hey, when a single profile, an individual profile is part of a list, we also would like to, include the household instead of just Kevin here. So click in here, test out some of these options, see how they work. I think a lot of people are really going to like this add household, not individual profiles. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to select an option. I'm just going to add all those profiles to our campaign untouched. And this back option right here is going to take us right back into the campaign where we left off. And here we see our list of profiles that we've added. So some of these options on the left are going to look familiar, right? Mailing labels and CSV. A new option here under export email. If you click export email and pick, an option here, in the past, this has been a long comma separated or semicolon separated list. Nice thing here, this now downloads a file that gives us a column of email addresses right there. So it's really nice. Another change we see here is an envelopes button. So when you have envelopes, you can click on it. I've been doing some testing around in my site here, so I don't have an envelope template set up, but that's going to generate a PDF that allows envelopes to be generated for every one of these instead of having to mail merge them out into a label or something like that. So a lot of exciting options here. One thing while we're on a mailing list that I want to show is that link to MailChimp functionality. So let me come back in here, details. And so this is still being worked out, a little bit of this functionality. And so I'm going to make one small change here for a second. But with the idea that, we have a campaign, we are wanting to be able to, add all these profiles and sync them over to MailChimp. When we come in on the details tab, we're now going to see link to MailChimp here as opposed to that long listing of checkboxes we've had in the past for the MailChimp sync. When we link to MailChimp, system's going to give us an option, right? Add a tag. We'll be able to come in here, add that MailChimp tag, click link, and we are now linked with MailChimp. We have a tag, and when you click sync MailChimp here, this will sync that list of profiles over to MailChimp. And so still being tested out. This might take a moment here. And I'm syncing a lot of records. But ultimately what that's going to look like, so as we don't have to wait a second on this, ultimately what it's going to look like if you have that done is that under MailChimp tag, you're going to have this name, like if it's cocktail party, if it's annual appeal, you'll be able to click on this. And when you do that, you're going to get a listing of all the records that you have synced over to MailChimp as part as part of this campaign. Really nice functionality here too. This column that shows subscribed, this is actually information talking back from MailChimp to C-Suite. So as people, unsubscribe or things like that in MailChimp, you will be able to see that here in campaigns. And we're also looking at that and the possibility of this being a reportable field as well. So really nice functionality. I think a lot of people have been excited about things, talking back from MailChimp to C-Suite. So this is kind of a foray into that direction here. So let's come back here for a moment. I want to change gears. I know we just have a couple minutes left, so I want to be really brief here. But I want to show just a couple things with events functionality. So we just talked about mailing lists. If we come back in, we go into events. I'm going to find something like a fundraising event here, right? We'll pick our group, start and end dates. This would have this would be applicable maybe to when the event would display on the portal, perhaps. Or we could just have a specific date and event, right? So let's say, I'm just going to say the event's coming up on the 28th. Description, maybe it's our annual luncheon. 28th is probably a bad day, the weekend or too close to it. And then we'll have a fund associated here as well. Again, service area and amount options are optional here, as well as internal description. When we come in and create our events, we're going to see all these events fields, right? So it's based on the type that's set. Let's kind of clean that up in a really nice way. Here, once we get to this screen, we could come in, we can do some editing, right? We have ticket header that can be added, start time, location, templates. A new thing in the events area is that we have total seats available for the overall event, right? So not just the individual ticket types. Now we have total seats for the event here. One or two other quick things here. I know we're short on time that I want to be sure to touch on. If we move across, we still have the notes and files field. Profiles, as people check out, right, as we add them to the campaign, they will show up here as Sky mentioned. And when that happens, we will also be able to see things like their RSVP information and attendee information. As Sky mentioned, we brought that back for everybody. Groups and requests still remain as they have been. So groups for things like table assignments that you might want to add here. Requests for things like food preferences, things of that nature are still here. And under tickets, two things to touch on here. When you add a new ticket type now in C-Suite, is we come in and we build out an individual ticket. We've changed this. This used to say units. Now it says seats, right? When you buy one ticket, how many seats do you get? One. And then you can move on through this area and you could enter total here if you would like. A new setting here, we now have non-donation revenue accounts available. So before, just donation revenue accounts. So now you could come in, pick the appropriate revenue accounts here. Another neat setting that we've added, ticket header. So in addition to the overall event having a header that you can adjust, individual tickets now have their own ticket headers that can be added here. Individual tickets also have start and end dates, which is really nice, right? If you wanted to like plan out early bird tickets and stagger when tickets are available through the portal, start and end date's going to be really helpful. And then finally, another highly requested feature is, hey, we'd like for people to be able to add, in a text field, a note when they purchase a ticket and go through that checkout process. So, whether you title that notes field something like special instructions or otherwise that people could create when they create a ticket type here. It's going to be really nice, really straightforward there. And I'm just going to pop in some sample information. I know we're a couple minutes over, so I'm going to wrap this up. Click create here. It's going to take us back out to the main. I'll click back here. That'll take us back to the main campaign page where we have our tickets. One other thing here is a reminder, we have ticket notify so that if one or more of your foundation staff members would like to get an email notification out of the system when someone has purchased a ticket, you can come in here and to notify, select the folks you would like to get that email notification. If you're one who loves that, this functionality is for you. So I'm going to pause here and ask the team if there's anything I missed. I know we're a few minutes over, see what questions have been popping up and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So one of the first questions we had is, if an event campaign is tied to a fund, will the fund advisors have the ability to see the updates or the donors who have purchased tickets?
So in the current functionality, as of today, that is not possible. There isn't an extra tab now, on the Fund Advisor portal, for example, that would show campaigns information and that sort of thing. However, as Sky alluded to a little bit earlier, there are some plans for portal enhancements later this year, and this is a popular item that we've seen kind of recurring and popping up of allowing fund advisors to be able to see campaigns information for the fund or funds that they advise. So I think that's a potential for the future. I wouldn't make a commitment, but not current functionality. But I encourage, jump onto ID Lab request to support that recommendation.
Okay.
All right.
see.
How about, somebody
Go ahead.
is mid-campaign for a ticketed event that won't close until end of April. Is there anything that they need to worry about?
That's a great question. To my knowledge, there is nothing that immediately comes to mind as, a red flag. I think types were one of those things that we found in that first release of campaigns. They were kind of a block that everybody got caught in, right? Because you had to set a type and then do some other things. I personally have not found any of those yet, not to say that that's not the case. So this is something I would encourage, we can all test in our sandboxes. And see, right, for existing campaigns that we have up and running from Sandbox to kind of see with new functionality if there are any changes. But I don't believe there are any that we've found yet, any big pitfalls, things like that.
Okay. Should we keep going? I know we're running late, but we
Sure,
have a
and
few more
anybody who
minutes we
needs to jump, they can jump. So we'll just
Okay.
keep answering and people can watch back as they want to.
Yeah. Envelopes, will they show the profile's title and workplace if part of the individual profile?
On envelopes, if an address, so when you go to generate envelopes, if an address on a profile is marked, so let's say you have different address types in C-Suite, right? We have home, for example, maybe you have work, you have business, whatever your address types that you create are. And I'm going to just show this on the screen really quickly. So when we come into profiles, profile types, is a reminder of what I'm talking about here. Here we have address types that can be created. So if you have an office address, right, a business address, and that address is set as a work address, whenever you go to generate an envelope for this profile and it's going to this address, it will then pull in the organization and as well as the title onto that. In other places in the system, it'll kind of depend on the merge fields that you're using in specific merge templates and things like that.
Okay, some MailChimp questions. Do we want to address those all at one time, maybe? Folks that had unsubscribed will automatically be deleted after the sync. I don't know the answer to that one. Or do we need more information on that?
Maybe.
If they unsubscribe, I think it is going to remove them. I don't know if that full functionality is in place yet, but I think that is the idea, is if they are unsubscribing, it would remove them from that list for you.
Okay. And then the second question, when syncing to MailChimp, is it true that your list will sync and replace the audience that currently exists in MailChimp? And if you don't want to replace it, you need to have a tag on all emails that are currently in MailChimp.
So currently, as of today, and the prior functionality, that has been the case, that every email address in MailChimp needed to have a tag associated, that if you synced a campaign over and there were some records in MailChimp that didn't have a tag, that those would automatically be deleted. Now, our engineering team and our product team is looking at some ways to make that not the case with the way that MailChimp and C-Suite talk with each other. So that could be changing here with some of the functionality that's being worked on right now here over the coming days, the coming week or two. So keep an eye out for that. But right now, today, they're exactly right.
And another question just about people in the middle of campaigns. Will they be able to edit pre-existing campaigns and tickets once these new features are on? Absolutely, yes. a couple questions on can you pull up the campaign again, Kevin, on the events?
sure.
And I think it's entering the GL lines. I'm a little confused by the question, but I think if we show it, so where does the, so it would be on a,
So pull up an individual ticket,
yeah,
Kevin. Yeah, and just show the revenue, the two different donation lines, or like the revenue versus the
yes.
excuse me,
So now you have
non-donation.
this, you do have this option to say, here is the donation piece. So maybe it goes into a different revenue account than the actual non-donation, the event part of that ticket. It is only still one fund. Somebody asked if there's multiple funds, but there's a fund per campaign, and then, but you do have this option. And I think that's it then. Awesome. Well, thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Sky. You guys are, as always, are amazing, and we appreciate everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
See
Bye.
you guys.
Well.